Well, good afternoon,
Chair
everybody.
Summer.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year. The January 23rd, 2025 Board of Directors meeting is called to order. I'm Sound Transit Board Chair Dave Summers, and I want to welcome everyone attending the meeting, both in person and via Zoom. Just to note, it is my intent this year to be in person more than not. It didn't work today, but that is my intent. So thank you all for attending by whatever means. First, we acknowledge that this meeting is on the traditional lands of the Muckleshoot people, past and present. The Muckleshoot Indian Tribe is the Seattle area's federally recognized Indian tribe and successor to the people and villages of the Duwamish and Upper Puyallup drainages, who were party to the treaties of Point Elliott and Medicine Creek. So for board members joining via Zoom, please turn on your camera and state your name prior to making comments or asking any questions so the public and your fellow members know who is speaking. So I'll ask Katie now to call the roll.
Nancy Backus.
Here.
Board Member Backus is present. Claudia Balducci. Angela Burney.
Here.
Board Member Burney is present. Dow Constantine. Cassie Franklin. Christine Frizzell. Board Member Frizzell is present. I observed that, but I did not hear you in the call. Might be an audio issue there. Bruce Harrell.
Here.
Board Member Harrell is present. Jim Castema.
Present.
Board Member Castema is present. Ryan Mello.
Here.
Board Member Mello is present. Julie Meredith.
Present.
Board Member Meredith is present. Ed Prince.
Here.
Board Member Prince is present. Kim Roscoe.
Here.
Board Member Roscoe is present. Dan Strauss. Pete Von Reichbauer.
Here.
Board Member Von Reichbauer is present. Christina Walker.
Here.
Board Member Walker is present. Gurmai Zahalai.
Here.
Board Member Zahalai is present, and Dave Summers.
Here.
And Chair Summers, there is a quorum of the board at this time.
Balducci's here.
Great. Thank you, Katie. And so I'll start off with my report. First of all, your meeting packet includes the monthly contract report, and this report includes contracts and contract modifications executed in December 2024 under the authority we have delegated to the CEO. And now it's my pleasure to introduce some new board members. First is Pierce County Executive Ryan Mello. Welcome, Ryan. So Ryan, I'll give you each an opportunity to say hello in a minute, but Ryan was elected as Pierce County's new county executive in November. He previously served on the county council, including as county council chair. Prior to that, he served 9 years on the Tacoma City Council and has extensive experience representing Tacoma and Pierce County in regional discussions at the Puget Sound Regional Council. I've worked with him for many years there. In addition, Executive Mello is a longtime member of the Pierce Transit Board of Commissioners, where he has become very familiar with the transit in the South Sound and across our region. Really want to welcome Executive Mello to the board and look forward to his collaboration as we continue the agency's system expansion further to the south in Pierce County. Executive Mello, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Chair Summers. Thank you for that warm introduction and the warm welcome from your staff, Jaron. I'm really looking forward to collaborating with all of you. We have a lot of work to do together, and I sincerely appreciate the warm welcome and really looking forward to the important work we have to do as a region together. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Next, we're also welcoming a familiar face as a full Sound Transit board member. So on January 8th, Governor Ferguson appointed longtime WashDOT leader Julie Meredith to succeed Roger Millar as our Washington State Secretary of Transportation. She assumed office last week. As an engineer, Secretary Meredith brings extensive local experience with large-scale transportation infrastructure projects. Of course, she served as previous WashDOT alternate to the Sound Transit Board, so she's really familiar with many of the discussions and practices, procedures, and issues that are going on here at Sound Transit. So we welcome Secretary Meredith as a full member of the board and look forward to her expertise as we tackle the challenges and opportunities ahead. Secretary Meredith. like to say a few words.
I just thank you for that. The job is new, and I've had a lot to learn in the last week, but I really look forward to working with the board and working to deliver the programs here with you. So thank you.
Great. Well, welcome. And we have one more new face to welcome. Lisa Bugardis was appointed to the board to replace Mark Riker due to his retirement as labor liaison. And her term began on December 1st, 2024, and will go until December 31st, 2027. So Lisa currently serves as the Assistant Executive Secretary for the Seattle Building Trades Labor Council, and she's also an executive board member for the Puget Sound Labor Agency and a member of the Move Seattle Levy Oversight Committee. We'd like to preemptively thank Lisa for her input on labor issues and look forward to partnering with her over the next few years. Lisa, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Echo the sentiments of both Julie and Ryan. Really looking forward to working with everybody. I'm familiar with most folks here, but look forward to being in this new role and getting to know everybody better. And yeah, I've been working with Sound Transit for going on my 11th year, so excited to be in this capacity. So thank you.
Great, thank you, and welcome to all of you. So I want to give you a little update on the CEO search process. And the progress that we've made since December board meeting, when the board discussed the qualities, skills, abilities, and experiences for Sound Transit's next CEO. So since December, our search vendor, Krauthammer and Associates, has completed the candidate profile, selection criteria, and job description, and launched the search on January 3rd. To date, over 60 interested applicants have responded to the search effort. To continue moving forward, I'm proposing that the CEO selection team, which includes myself, committee chairs Balducci, Backus, and Walker, and a new invitee board member, Mello, work to narrow the applications received to just those that meet the qualifications and selection criteria developed through stakeholder conversations and through the board's discussions in December. So narrowing the applications would allow the CEO selection team to identify the candidates who will advance through an interview process with the executive committee over the coming weeks. Board members who are not members of the executive committee will be welcome to join the discussions. Interviews will take place in executive session, which is allowed under state law. So again, suggesting that the CEO selection team do the initial screening. Are there any board members who have any objections to this plan proposal? Any objections? All right, seeing no objections, we'll proceed. I will continue to keep the full board informed on the progress to fill this really critical position. So that's it for me. I'm looking forward to the 2025, lots of challenges, but we've got a great team here on the board and at the agency, so very much looking forward to it. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Jeroen Sparman for the CEO report.
Thank you, Chair Somers, and good afternoon to you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you, Chair Somers. I appreciate recognizing that I am a whole year older, and I have mixed feelings about it, to be very honest, but that's probably true when you reach my advanced age, which I'm not going to comment any further on, by the way. I'll let you speculate on how old I really am. Anyway, thank you for that, and good afternoon to you and the members of the board. I do have a couple of things I want to report out on today. First item is one that is full of sadness for me. On Friday, January 10th, I was joined by members of the agency leadership team as we attended a memorial service for King County Metro operator Sean Yim, hosted by the Amalgamated Transit Union. It was a very touching ceremony attended by thousands of transit workers from across the state, country, and even Canada, as well as local and national elected leaders, including Sound Transit board members. I was happy to see many board members being able to attend as well. It was truly moving to hear directly from Sean's colleagues and friends about the special person that he was and the lasting impact his legacy will have on both the people and the agency. As I said at the time of this tragedy, And my heart goes out to both Sean's family and friends and to our larger extended family at King County Metro, who are on the front lines every day, operating and maintaining our buses and trains. Their vitally important work moves hundreds of thousands of people every day in this region. And without their work, this region would come to a screeching halt. And I think we all recognize that. We, Sound Transit, stand ready to collaborate and creatively implement joint solutions with Metro and our law enforcement partners to enhance employee and passenger safety throughout the regional systems. There are many conversations ongoing. We have several meetings coming up over the next few weeks to explore further what additional measures we can take to advance that safety agenda. Can't emphasize enough how important that is. With that, I'll move on to another little bit more cheerful subject, which is on the project front. I am pleased to share that earlier this month, the first light rail vehicle made its way to Federal Way. I have to confess it did not go under its own power, but it made it down to Federal Way. And eventually, they will run under their own power as well. We towed a rail car across the famous Structure C all the way down to the Federal Way downtown station. What this means is that we can begin testing activities at the south end of the project's alignment, which has testing activities which have already been ongoing at the north end of the project, north of Structure C. This is a very significant milestone for the project and for our future riders in South King County and eventually Pierce County, because we need this project to get down to Pierce County as well. The next item I want to do is make a staff announcement. On January 13th last week, Sound Transit welcomed Dr. Nadia Anderson, PhD, as our first Chief Strategy Officer. Nadia will oversee multiple departments that have been consolidated into a new strategy department. In this role, Nadia will help to guide the agency's current and future strategic approaches in a number of areas, including communication, marketing, engagement, government relations, innovation, transit-oriented development, and sustainability. She will also oversee our ORCA route support team that supports the ORCA program between us and all the other transit agencies in the region, and two new divisions, innovation and transformation, as well as strategic planning, policy, and programs. Nadia brings with her a wealth of experience in education, including a PhD in urban affairs and public policy. She has previous executive experience as global public policy lead for road safety at Uber and as director of federal affairs for INRIX. Most recently, she was senior vice president for policy strategy at the Silicon Valley Leadership Group. We are thrilled to have Nadia on board, and we know she will help us do great things in this critical period of maturation, growth, and change for Sound Transit. And with that, Nadia, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, so it is an absolute pleasure to be here today. I'm looking forward to working with you all, and I'm excited about being a new member of the Sound Transit team.
Thank you, Nadia. I think we all look forward to working with you going forward. The last item I want to give a quick report to the board on has to do with something that comes up on the agenda here later today, which is an emergency motion that I signed, an emergency declaration that I signed last week pertaining to link resiliency. I declared this emergency last Tuesday, and I issued a limited notice to proceed for H&B Corporation to continue the existing work they're doing with us on working on our resiliency and operational challenge issues. Board members received an email last night from Deputy CEO Moises Gutierrez with further detail, and Moises and his team will also be presenting on this item prior to its consideration today. This motion and the emergency declaration were also the subject of a Seattle Times article this morning for those of you who may have not had an opportunity to read it. I would say most of the content for when we begin discussing the motion, but for now, suffice it to say that this is another step in how we are taking link reliability issues extremely seriously, and how we have no time to waste in making critical improvements to ensure that we get the operational dependability that our customers expect and need. This motion, if passed by the board, will help us develop a comprehensive management plan for identified fixes to our systems, and it seeks to keep our momentum going by keeping us from having a gap in the necessary work that's already underway. And unless there are any questions, this concludes my CEO report for today. Back to you, Chair Summers.
Great, thank you, Jeroen. Any questions for our CEO? Okay, well, we'll move on to public comment. The board welcomes public comment as a really important part of the public process. Comments are received and considered by the board in its deliberations. So written comments, board members have received written comments submitted before the meeting. I will now ask Katie to read the names and summaries of those comments. Katie?
Yes, the board received public comments from Bill Hurt detailing concerns related to the agency's focus on light rail to reduce congestion while overlooking other alternatives such as additional bus service. From Brian Chow sharing concerns of how the agency has contributed to systemic racism through exclusion of communities of color, displacement and gentrification from transit projects, inequitable resource allocation, and disparities in route planning and service availability, while noting the agency had taken steps to address the issues like implementing the racial equity tool. And from Betty Lau expressing how the agency has split from the voter-approved 4th Avenue station while prioritizing lower equity priority projects.
Great. So following the meeting, the comments that have been provided in writing will be posted on the Sound Transit website so the public may view them. Before we take verbal public comment, I want to review our ground rules for in-person and virtual public comment. So all comments must be germane to the agenda items. Speakers should not make introductory statements and should avoid derogatory remarks, profanity, or personal attacks not germane to an agenda item. Speakers should also refrain from comments related to a political campaign or statements for or against a candidate or ballot measure. Speakers should not engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of this meeting, including conduct that is not germane to the board's agenda or work. This is the only warning speakers will receive. If these rules are not followed, I will ask for the microphone to be turned off, and I appreciate your adherence to these rules. So, Katie, do we have people signed up in the boardroom?
Yes, we have 3 people signed up for in-person public comment and 4 people signed up for virtual public comment.
Okay, so with those numbers, each speaker will have 2 minutes for their comments, and go ahead, let's start the in-person.
The first 3 speakers, the 3 speakers signed up for in-person public comment are Brian Chow, followed by Betty Lau and Daisy Gould Wong. And please come forward.
Gong Hei Fat Choi. I'm Betty Lau of Transit Equity for All and the Zhonghua Benevolent Association of Washington. Remember, the city ranks Chinatown International District as a high equity priority. This means repairing past and ongoing harms and providing future benefits from light rail hub construction. Sound Transit, for those of you who are new, gave us a choice of 4th Avenue or 5th Avenue for station hubbing. The community overwhelmingly chose 4th. North and south of CID options then popped up, ending all talk about community voice and choice. Yet West Seattle Link is going to final design despite gargantuan cost overruns and is ranked as a low equity priority. 4th Avenue is too expensive. Railroads too difficult to talk to. Chinese built the railroads, worked the canneries, dug the Mount Lake Cut, and mined the coal that powered Seattle's early rise to prominence. Sound Transit has experts in budget containment, creative problem solving, and construction technology. Your experts can overcome the challenges of building on 4th Avenue, the region's most accessible and most connected location that does not destroy Chinatown, Japantown, and Little Saigon. Move forward on 4th, stay off 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Katie, I cannot see the timer, so if we reach the time, will you let me know?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Hi, excuse me. Hello, my name is Brian Chow, co-founder of Transit Equity for All and a Zhonghua board member. I'd like to welcome all the new members and look forward to meeting with you. The Seattle Racial Equity Toolkit says to eliminate acts of discrimination, whether intentional or unintentional, not moving forward on fourth is the biggest one. Key areas are historical exclusion from decision-making processes, the promises of the CID community, collaboration, and problem-solving are not kept. Unfair resource allocation. By approving cost overruns for projects in neighborhoods like West Seattle and not the CID. Displacement of residents, businesses, healthcare, while destroying culture and linguistically appropriate surface for the CID communities of color and the region. Environmental and health impacts, cutting off 1,300 non-English speaking seniors from getting around the CID, as well as getting to medical care on First Hill. For the sake of racial, social, and economic justice, Sound Transit must meaningfully engage the CID to ensure the equitability treatment that well-resourced neighborhoods get. Move forward on fourth. The only option that is best for the region and the communities of color in the CID. Thank you very much. Gong Hei Fa Choi.
Thank you.
Hello. First, I want to say that Pinehurst sounds like a great name for the Northeast 130th infill station, and I'm looking forward to the process of refining names on other projects. However, not all current station names comply with Sound Transit's 2021 naming policy. For instance, International District Chinatown is 30 characters long, and Tukwila International Boulevard is 29 characters long, both exceeding the 26-character limit. While we're having this discussion, it may be worth revisiting the naming policy to address these conflicts. Another improvement to the policy could be to bar the use of numbered streets in station names. Neighborhood-based names are more natural and inviting, and the policy already places street names only as a last resort. At a minimum, I urge you to remove 148th from Shoreline South 148th Station and to remove 185th from Shoreline North 185th Station, similar to what was done with Spring District and Bellred on the 2 line, changes that were very well received. Lastly, and on a separate note, the recent decision to stop releasing monthly Sound Transit progress reports has made research more difficult and was a big blow to internal transparency. These reports were a valuable resource to have, and I don't understand what kind of justification was used to discontinue them. I urge you to reinstate them. Even putting them out bi-monthly would be a huge help. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now turn to comment via Zoom, which is our virtual meeting platform. I ask that when your name is called, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom, and you will then receive a message allowing you to unmute yourself when your name is called. You will need to unmute yourself when you receive the message enabled in order to comment. If you're joining the meeting by telephone, press *9 on your phone so that you can be identified, and you will be instructed how to unmute yourself in order to give your comment. So, Katie.
First person signed up for virtual public comment is Steve Casso. Please accept the notice to unmute your microphone. Please go ahead.
Thank you. This is Steve Casso. I'm the president of EJS Inc., which is the managing partner of the building and site located at 34114 21st Avenue South Federal Way that currently houses the Elenos Yogurt building business. We received a letter dated January 10th from Sound Transit advising that the board would consider a resolution that would acquire all or any portion of our property, by either condemnation or an acceptable agreement. So we didn't receive this letter until January 23rd, and so we or I'm sorry, January 17th. So we immediately sent a letter to or emailed a letter to the board members expressing our concerns. Following the letter we received, we had an immediate contact from Jennifer Corrigan of Sound Transit, who provided us the information of what Sound Transit actually needed, and we have no problem with what their proposals are. She also included a map showing the location of the easements, and they do not appear to interfere with any of the Elenos yogurt operations. I guess the only reason that I'm here today is to just request that the board alter its resolution and provide that that Sound Transit would could have anything that they wanted as far as the easements are concerned, but not acquire or condemn the entire property. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Katie.
The next speaker is Mercedes Johnson. If you're a call-in user, please raise your hand by pressing *9. I do see one call-in user with their hand raised. Please accept the notice to unmute your microphone. Please go ahead.
Hey there, everybody. My name is O'Reilly. I'm a Providence Swedish employee speaking on behalf of myself. As you're considering new leadership positions, I'm hoping you guys can prioritize the healthcare perspective. The board's preferred option for Sound Transit 3 kills off Midtown Station, but I really want to stress how important Midtown Station is as an essential worker for us. At Providence Swedish alone, we host over 200,000 emergency room visits, over 48,000 inpatient visits, 37,000 surgeries, and approximately 1 million clinic visits. I ride light rail every day to my radiation cancer clinic in Edmonds. My cancer patients require radiation treatment daily for 90-minute treatment bookings for months at a time. And many of our patients cannot afford to drive and do not qualify for paid transportation. Only Midtown Station allows riders to emerge at the downtown public library and ride the Rapid Ride G every 6 minutes to their accessing of essential health care on a bus that wheelchairs can easily roll onto instead of other buses. And when considering physically accessing hospitals, the federal guidelines for ADA sidewalk steepness is capped at 5%. Only Midtown Station allows patients to access all of First Hill without ever traversing a hill steeper than 7%. If you compare that to the preferred north of CID at the King County Courthouse, every single street within a 4-block radius up to the hospitals is a minimum of 14 to 15% grade, 300% steeper than the federal ADA cap. James and Cherry, the primary roads of access, reach a whopping 14 to 16% and suffered from 4 car collision fatalities in recent years when Madison had none. New leadership, please prioritize the right for all of us to access essential healthcare services. It could be one of us someday, and everyone's loved ones will eventually need that care. The Midtown Station, please consider being an essential worker. And remember that flat is where it's at. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Next,
believe that was Joe Riley, who was also signed up. Calling one more time for Mercedes Johnson to see if they are in the audience. Not seeing them. The next person signed up is John Grant. And please accept the notice to unmute your microphone. Please go ahead.
Greetings, Sound Transit Board of Directors. My name is John Grant, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for the Low Income Housing Institute, or LIHI. I am testing today in support of the motion relating to the sale of Sound Transit surplus property for a transit-oriented development that will create more affordable housing in the University District. LIHI would sincerely like to thank the Sound Transit Board and Sound Transit leadership for its support of our proposal to build a mixed-use project that will bring 150 to 160 units of affordable housing to serve families and individuals. The street level will include retail and commercial space, public restrooms for a high-foot traffic area, and a residential entrance and an urban rest stop. The affordable housing focuses on larger 2- and 3-bedroom units for families with children. The affordability includes 30%, 50%, and 60% AMI rents. This project will become a significant landmark and gateway project in a prominent, well-traveled location in the U District. Thank you for making this project possible.
Thank you.
All right, calling one more time for Mercedes Johnson. If you were present, please raise your hand or press *9 if you're a call-in user. Not seeing any additional hands raised. That is everyone who signed up for virtual public comment.
Great. Thank you, Katie. So we will close public comment and move on to the consent agenda. Katie, would you read the items on the consent agenda?
The consent agenda includes the voucher certification for December 2024, the minutes of the December 19th, 2024 Board of Directors meeting, motion number M 2025-01, authorizing the CEO to execute a project administration agreement with the City of Bellevue for the I-405 Stride Bus Rapid Transit Project, resolution number R 2025-01, authorizing the CEO to acquire certain real property interests, including acquisition by condemnation to the extent authorized by law, and to reimburse eligible relocation and reestablishment expenses incurred by affected owners and tenants as necessary for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Operations and Maintenance Facility South Project. Resolution number R 2025-02, 1, approving the Chief Executive Officer's declaration that portions of 6 parcels, TOD sites, adjacent to the Federway Downtown Link Light Rail Station and composed of 4 separate TOD sites are surplus upon completion of the Federway Link extension construction. 2, declaring TOD sites 1 and 2 as suitable for housing. 3, authorizing staff to offer TOD sites 1 and 2 first to qualified entities for development of affordable housing. And 4, authorizing staff to offer TOD sites 1 and 2 below market value, including at no cost, to facilitate affordable housing outcomes. Motion number M 2025-03, 1, approving key business terms of an agreement with the Low Income Housing Institute, Lehigh, for the sale of Sound Transit surplus property in the U District in Seattle for the creation of a mixed-use project comprised of affordable housing and community-serving uses. And 2, delegating to the Chief Executive Officer the authority to execute and subsequently amend as necessary the disposition and development agreement, DDA, and related covenants, conditions, and easements for the TOD project, all subject to the board-approved key business terms. And finally, motion number M 2025-04, adopting a permanent station name for the Northeast 130th infill station located in North Seattle on the Linwood Link extension.
Thank you. I see 2 hands raised. Board Member Castma.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I would ask that resolution R 2025-02 be set aside for further discussion.
Okay. Normally I would ask for a motion and then ask for anything to be removed, but we'll 2502 and Board Member Balducci.
I was going to wait to be asked if anything wanted to be pulled, and I was going to ask to pull our 2025- I believe it's 01. If this is, and let's just make sure we're on the same page here. Board Member Castum, are you talking about the one that we heard public comment about with regard to the acquisition?
No,
okay, I'm talking about that one. So 2 different ones. Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about Federal Way.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, and then I'll withdraw those? Motion to approve?
So moved. Mr. Chair,
Okay, second.
I'll second Backus.
Motion and second, and we've had requests to remove resolutions R 2025-01 and R 2025-02.
Right.
So move those for separate consideration. Any other comments on the consent agenda? All those in favor? Oh, yeah, say aye. This is a voice vote.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go back to 2025-01.
Thank you, Chair. Balducci, if I may speak to it.
Yes, please.
It's a question for staff. We heard from public testimony, an owner of a piece of property that is subject to this motion, or resolution, sorry. And we did discuss the resolution at our committee. It was forwarded with a unanimous do pass recommendation with 1 abstention, not related to this issue. But what I'm hearing here is it's something that we've heard before, where the language in these sorts of authorizations for property acquisitions are pretty generic, and it authorizes the full scope of activities that could be needed to build the projects. And this occasionally causes property owners to come forward who are, knowingly subject to partial acquisitions. We sometimes call them sliver takes. We're not intending to, nor do we need to take the whole property, but they read our standard boilerplate language and see, oh, we, the board, are giving the staff the authorization to go take the whole property, and they feel concerned about that broad authorization. We've been asked to narrow it. I've been staring at this resolution since I heard that testimony a few minutes ago, and I am not actually seeing the language that was called out, but I wonder if staff could help us and provide a little bit of what is the reassurance for, because I believe all the properties on this list, several dozen of them, are subject to partial acquisition, not total acquisition. And how are we reassuring, as a board, reassuring the property owners that we're only authorizing what is necessary to be taken?
Thank you, Board Member Balducci. You're correct. The authorization does affect the entire parcel. The reason for that is the design is still in flux at this stage and subject to change. So not authorizing it would lead to coming back again, which is why they prefer to get authorization for more than what is initially scoped at that time.
Can you say a few words about how you will engage with property owners should the scope of the acquisition change after the board votes on this authorization?
Yes. So once the offer is made and the design at that point is locked down, they will receive their offer with the maps that were referred to, showing, what portion is being proposed for acquisition, be it a strip take in this case. It would show exactly what the permanent easement, fee acquisition easement, or fee acquisition is, or an entire parcel. So when the offer is received, it will have much more detail specifically as to what Sound Transit is wanting to acquire.
And then what happens?
Then we work with the owner to try to make a deal and get the property acquired via market transaction. If
And
not,
if you're
we've
unable
already
to
authorized-
negotiate, then you have to go through a legal process, correct?
Correct. If negotiations fail, authorization has been given by the board at that point to move to condemnation.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to suggest, members. And people may feel differently, but I empathize with the concern and also the financial impacts of having potential acquisition hanging over if you want to refinance or do any kind of work on the property. I understand that this can get in the way and we need to move expeditiously. It also seems like, should the property acquisition size need to change dramatically, there will be more than enough notice and time for a property owner who's aggrieved by this to petition us if they choose to. They could say, I don't agree that now you said you were going to take part of my property. Now you're saying you're going to take all of my property, and I think that's not necessary. And I'm going to write to the board and say, we think they're abusing this authorization you gave. And then the board would have the ability at that point to modify. The challenge with doing it a different way, with trying to modify the language now, is exactly what the staff said. If we were to modify our boilerplate language, so we said in all of the many hundreds and thousands of cases, this is a very long linear thing we are building that crosses many, many properties. If we were to say we will dole out partial authorization and then come back to us for full authorization later, we would slow things down, and we know that time is time and money. So I do think that I continue to support us doing it the way we have done, but I want to make sure that the property owners hear that we hear their concern, and that if the scope of the acquisition should shift in a way that you object to in the future, we would welcome you complaining to us about that at that time, and we would have the ability to potentially do something about it, because there's process that happens. It doesn't just happen right away. So thank you for the time for discussion. The committee did urge support of this resolution, and I don't see any reason to change that recommendation now, but I do think it's important to be sensitive to these concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this resolution? So I'll ask for a motion to approve resolution R 2025-01.
I move approval.
Second.
Roscoe, I'll second.
Motion and a second by Roscoe. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? All right, resolution passes. And we're on to resolution number 2025-02. Board Member Castema.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I was approached by leadership of Federal Way, and they asked for these particular pieces of property that they be given first right of refusal, that they be offered these properties for the intended purposes stated in this resolution. But I think that that's a very fair request that they be given that offer again before other entities, as they're responsible for meeting some of the challenging goals on GMA, et cetera. And I'd like to just propose an amendment to make that so.
All right, maybe you first get a response from staff. Is this something we can do, or is there anybody there?
Good afternoon. This is Matthew Mateo. I am the project manager for the Federal Way Downtown Station TOD site. I'll just speak to the fact that we have been coordinating with the city of Federal Way extensively leading up to our recommendation to you today. The recommendation today to offer sites 1 and 2 for affordable housing and to surplus both sites, or all 4 sites, excuse me, was done in partnership with city staff. And so we can continue our collaboration, and we will intend to continue our collaboration with them if approved by this motion today. And we will continue with our planning and due diligence on sites 3 and 4 as we continue that work with the city of Federal Way.
Mr. President, Mr. Chair, excuse me. I'm used to addressing the state senate, sorry. Mr. Chair, this came as a request from leadership itself, not staff, that they be given that opportunity. Again, first right of refusal. I think that's very fair. And I'd like to propose that as an amendment.
Okay, let's get other comments first, and then I'll come back. Board Member Bernie.
Thank you so much. I have a question of staff. Having not been through the specific process before, is that something that we have done in the past where we've given the first right of refusal to the jurisdiction where the properties lie?
I'm not aware of an example in which we've done that. I will say that today's set of actions direct us to offer these properties for affordable housing consistent with the state 80-80-80 statute, which would offer properties to qualified entities. Those include nonprofit affordable housing developers, local jurisdictions, and housing authorities. And so the city is a qualified entity consistent with today's action.
And I guess if I could follow up, Chair.
Yes,
with that.
yes.
I want to understand, and not trying to drag this out too much, but once this, if we didn't have an amendment to this, if we passed as is, what would be the process if the city was indeed intent on doing this? Would they be considered the same as the other entities, or is there a process I'm unaware of?
I could answer
was
that.
that question for me? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the answer is they would just be given the first right of refusal. That's all.
No.
Not would be given any preference cost-wise, price-wise, et cetera, but that they would in fact be the first one at the table to make a decision whether they wanted to purchase it or not.
Yeah, Board Member Castema, I understood that. I'm just asking from staff perspective, like what would the normal process be without the amendment? Just normally, if we passed this as is, what would the process be? Would the city be considered the same as the other entities in that process? So I'm just trying to get a general understanding of how that would work.
Understand.
From staff member. The question is to the staff.
Understand.
Board Member Roscoe.
Oh,
Was there somebody else going to speak, staff, to speak to this?
I was just going to answer the question to the extent that I can. We would plan to put out a competitive request for proposals. That request for proposals, as I said, would be open to all qualified entities. including the local jurisdiction.
Board Member Rusko.
Thank you, Chair. I will not at all, say, please don't propose an amendment, but I'm really uncomfortable with this route of request. It seems unusual that Federal Way leadership would reach out to a single board member to carry forward this request. I also, I guess, frankly, think it's inappropriate for them to reach out to a single board member and put you in a position where I need to wonder, is it one member of leadership? Is it just the mayor? Is it the full council? So I think that this is, from my perspective, and, in thinking about as this is going to come through Fife, I would find it inappropriate for any of my council members or myself, because I'm a council member before mayor, to reach out to a singular board member to make this kind of a request. So I don't see, I'll just need to feel more comfortable with it for me to support it. It just really seems odd. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chair, if I could respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, any request I receive, whether it's from a citizen or whether it's from a council member of that district, has to go through me. I think it's a reasonable request. And I think an amendment like this is appropriate to give that kind of deference to a local jurisdiction who has made tremendous accommodations for this and is also under the burden of other requirements that they have from the state. I'm just saying give them a first right of refusal. As to it was a council member, but as to whether it would have been a citizen, I think that's irrelevant. I believe as a commissioner that is a very reasonable request. And I would give that deference to any individual who sits on the Sound Transit Board.
Okay, Board Member Balducci.
Thank you, Chair. As a movie buff, I've always wanted to say this. This is highly irregular. It might not be an unreasonable request at the bargaining table, but we are not at the bargaining table. I just as speaking for myself as a board member, I haven't seen a letter from the City of Federal Way. I haven't received a phone call from the City of Federal Way. We haven't had testimony today from the mayor or any staff or the council. I'm hearing there wasn't a vote of the council to do this, that it's just an idea that's being floated by a single board member. And I mean, I'm open to hearing more. If the city is truly asking us to press pause and rethink and delay, I'd like to know that that's coming from them, but I don't know that sitting here, and we don't negotiate at the board table. We're not doing negotiations here. Negotiations are done, and we're being asked to approve or not approve. I think it's very, very risky to get into the practice of writing new terms into an agreement at this stage with virtually no information, and I could not support such an amendment if it was brought on this record. If there's more of a record, I'd love to hear it, but on this record, I could not support the suggestion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Reichbauer.
Thank you, Chair. I am empathetic to what has been said by the two previous speakers. I have a question of our staff in terms of the process today. In order for me and others, one of my colleagues and I were talking on the phone during this process. Is there a need to pass this at this meeting as is?
Yes, we would recommend that this be passed at this meeting, passing this resolution now will allow us to go to prepare an RFP for release, which does take time.
How much time?
Oh, sorry, board member.
If passed today, we would expect to release a RFP by mid-year.
By when?
By mid-year of this year, sir.
Okay. So if we pass it at next month's meeting, do you think you can do it by mid-year? I just want to make sure we're communicating whether I'm not going to speak to where the failure of communication is, but I want to make sure that I reach out as much as I can to make sure that we hear from our partners in local government in South King County.
Great, thank you for that.
Mr. Chair, Constantine?
Yes, Board Member Constantine.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm hearing you, Board Member Von Reichbauer, and in fact, I'm hearing you, Board Member Castema. I've often thought about, how should we approach these opportunities where either the local jurisdiction or perhaps the original property owner would have the right to acquire the property consistent with the purposes that we are legally required to address, like affordable housing. It seems to me, and then my question of staff is this: we can pass this so that you can start doing the work, but sounds like ample time for us to have the conversations that Board Member Von Reichbauer is talking about and come back and amend that authority in a month if we want to add this caveat about a right of first refusal or any other conditions that we might want to include in the issuance. Is that correct, or does it have to be signed, sealed, and delivered today?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Which part?
I think I'm only hesitating because I would need to read every word in the staff report to ensure or have legal counsel do so. But my feeling is that there's nothing in this action that would preclude further discussion with the city about how to shape an offering strategy for these properties for affordable housing in which they would be an interested party.
It seems to me, Mr. Chair, if I may, that you could, a month from now, this board could say, please add to this that we're going to talk to the city first. Or you could say, whatever the best bid is, the city will have the right to match it. You could say any number of things and add that on to this before you've issued the proposal, because you don't want people responding to a proposal and then changing the terms in the middle. That would be possible, right?
Yeah, so 1 month change would still give us time to not have released the RFP inconsistent with the board's direction next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to express that I've got some concerns, not about working with the city, but this is a bit out of our normal process. And I know there's a lot of legal requirements regarding open bidding on these contracts and these opportunities. And I just have some questions I'd like answered later on. But I think what I'd like to do is move forward, ask for a motion to approve. And then if there's a motion to amend, we can take that up separately. So is there a motion to approve resolution 2025-02?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve, R 2025-02.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Board Member Reichbauer.
Yeah, I'm going to speak to it. I'm going to reach out with my colleague, Mayor Backus, and talk to, because we're the two elements of government closest to the city of Federal Way. And today is, I think we both have just heard about this, and it's not been something that has been given an opportunity to be discussed, but I'm going to reach out to Mayor Backus, and maybe we can meet with Mayor Farrell and members of his council and resolve some of the questions. I want to thank County Executive Constantine for his suggestion, and we'll reach out with your permission.
All right. So Board Member Castema, do you want to make a motion to amend?
I won't. I think that I'm satisfied with the direction that the board will go based on the comments.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion on resolution R 2025-02? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that resolution passes. Thank you. Okay, we're on to our business items. The first is motion M 2025-02. This first action for consideration by the board will establish performance goals for interim CEO Jeroen Sparman for the remainder of his contract term, which expires in May 15th. It's 2028, is that? 2025, sorry. The contract extension to Joran's term as interim CEO requires the board, in consultation with the CEO, to establish performance objectives for the remainder of his term. The board's new leadership has worked with Joran and his team to develop the proposed goals and objectives. So Katie, could you read this into the record?
Motion number M 2025-02 is a motion of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority adopting 2025 performance goals and objectives for Joran Sparman, Sound Transit Interim Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a second.
This is Backus. I'll second.
Seconded by Backus. Okay, discussion. Any discussion? All right, I think we can do this by voice vote if I'm not right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. All right, motion carries. And now I'll call on Moises Gutierrez, Deputy CEO for the agency oversight, to begin the staff presentation on an action to ratify the CEO's finding of an emergency related to the system resiliency. So, Moises.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Moises Gutierrez, Deputy CEO for Agency Oversight. On January 21st, 2025, earlier this week, the CEO approved an emergency finding related to the instability of the current operational and network infrastructure. And as is required by the board's delegation of authority resolution, quote, at the first regular board meeting following the written finding of the existence of an emergency, the CEO must request board ratification of the finding of an emergency, end quote. And that is where we find ourselves today. And we are here to provide details and additional context for your consideration. The emergency finding allows staff to continue working with HNTB, who is already engaged with us to complete the independent systematic resiliency study through a limited task order and a separate existing contract. HNTB provides Sound Transit the best opportunity to continue this emergency work scope seamlessly. We do wish to remind the board that in March, we will provide the Rider Experience and Operations Committee of the board a comprehensive update on all components of our resiliency work, including the results of the independent study underway and the repairs that we are beginning to tackle in real time. And on that point, I do want to take a moment to thank King County for their continued partnership and support through this work. I will now turn to Brian, my colleague Brian Holloway, who will present additional context for this action, which again is narrowly focused on advancing the preparation of a management implementation plan so we do not lose momentum with this important work.
Thank you, Moises and Chair Summers. My name is Brian Holloway, Director of Infrastructure Engineering. I am coordinating the agency resiliency work on the behalf of the CEO. The agency's operational and network infrastructure face reliability and stability issues. For example, the network, which is the communication system that manages information between train operators, link control center, stations, and passengers, lacks complete redundancy and leaves us vulnerable to single points of failure, putting critical systems at risk. As a result of the emergency finding, staff will be working with the consulting firm that we have already hired to expedite the agency's implementation plan. This plan will include a schedule, budget, risk management strategies, project delivery methods, and a commissioning approach. For full transparency, the cost of the additional proposed consulting services is not expected to exceed $1.5 million, which is within the scope of the delegation of authority framework. The action before you is to ratify the emergency finding, which will allow staff to accelerate the critical operational and resiliency work that is already underway. Thank you, and I will pause for questions.
Thank you. And yeah, before we move on to a motion, any questions for staff? Yes, Board Member Walker.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to confirm the way that I am reading this is that this is the first exploratory work. That's what we're putting money towards, and it is not specific to any one path forward. And my question is this completely operational or sort of technical, I guess, or is it technical and operational? Is that the right question? Does that question make sense?
Hi, Board Member Walker, Moises Gutierrez. Thank you for your question. It is about all the systems, so it's really technical and operational.
Okay. And can you also just confirm that it is not presupposing, staff changes or car changes or any of those pieces first? This is exploratory and to figure out exactly what we need, right?
Apologies, Board Member. Yes, I missed your question. That is correct. This does not presuppose specific solutions.
Okay, great. Thank you. And no worries, I didn't ask it as a question first, so appreciate that. I think that that's really important for the public to hear, that we are at this fact-finding phase, and that the board will make decisions and with staff help in these technical pieces, that's maybe not next step, but a big part of this process. So I appreciate you just being really clear about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, seeing none. Is anybody in the boardroom? All right, so I'll ask for a motion to approve motion M 2025-06.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Katie, you got that? All right, motion and a second. Discussion. Any discussion? All right, we can do this on a voice vote. Approval of motion M 2025-06. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. So the next item is motion 2025-05, and the board's rules and operating procedures specify that the Washington State Secretary of Transportation must chair the meeting for the purposes of the election. And before handing off the gavel, the board's rules also specify that the executive committee is tasked with developing and forwarding nominations to the board for consideration. Given the timing of the most recent appointment from Pierce County, the executive committee was unable to develop a formal recommendation, which is why the action before you currently has no name filled in. I would ask that by unanimous consent, the rules be suspended to allow the board to proceed without a nomination from the executive committee for a vice chair from Pierce County. Are there any objections to suspending the rules? All right, great. So Secretary Meredith, take it away.
Great, thank you. Thank you. In December, the board approved motion number M202481, which supplemented the board's rules to allow the election of a vice chair from Pierce County to take place this year due to board member turnover in Pierce County delegation. As stated in the chair's report today, we welcome board member Mello from Pierce County. Board officers are selected by a majority vote of all board members and are ordinarily nominated by the executive committee. As the board just suspended the rules regarding nominations from the executive committee, I will now call for nominations for a vice chair from Pierce County.
Chair, this is Board Member Roscoe.
Yes.
I would like to make the motion. I'm sorry for the delay, but I would like to nominate Pierce County Executive Ryan Mello from Pierce County to be elected board vice chair beginning January 23rd, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2026.
Second.
It's been nominated and seconded. Are there any other nominations? Yes. Board Member Roscoe?
Thank you, Chair. It's not an additional nomination. I just wanted to point out that this satisfies the requirement of sound transit needing two of its board members to also serve on their local transit agency, which in this case will be Pierce Transit. And having worked with now Executive Mello in his role as Pierce County Council member, I have 100% confidence he will do a great job representing Pierce County and the agency in the role of vice chair.
Thank you. Unless there are any other nominations, then the nominations are now closed. So is there a motion to approve M 2025-05 to elect Board Member Ryan Mello from Pierce County as vice chair to serve the 2-year term beginning January 23, 2025 and ending December 31?
So moved.
6. It's been so moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Chair. Is Constantine.
Oh, yes. Board Member Constantine.
Well, I just want to say, since I wasn't here at the start of the meeting, to welcome Board Member Mello. I'm really excited about him joining the board. He's been a longtime transit champion. He's going to be a real asset to our work as a board member and as vice chair. Mr. Executive, congratulations on your new office, and more importantly, congratulations on joining the Sound Transit Board. I support the nomination, by the way.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right. It's been approved. Let me see. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. Congratulations to the new vice chair. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Yes, and congratulations, Executive Mello. Great to have you on board. So there are no reports today, and there is no need for an executive session today. Is there any other business to come before the board today? Okay, our next regular Board of Directors meeting will take place on February 27th, 2025 at 1:30 to 4 as usual. The meeting will take place in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom as well as via Zoom. The link to join the virtual meeting will be provided on the Sound Transit website and on the meeting agenda. So with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.